What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and I wanted to talk about Kon Knueppel's preseason so far. I honestly think on tape, this might be the most impressive offensive rookie I've watched on preseason film. So, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let's get to 150 likes on this video, and let me know who your favorite preseason rookie has been. We're going to get some rough moments a little early on from Kon. Good idea here, pump faking to get Dwight Powell in the air and then bouncing it down to Plumlee. Just not the most accurate pass there, and he ends up turning the ball over to Flag. We're going to get 2 straight turnovers to start for Knueppel, and there were a couple of these moments I noticed in preseason where rookies were like not anticipating players to recover into passing windows. Knueppel, I think, was a little underrated as a driver. Like, pretty good burst for like a shooting wing. Gets by PJ here. I love how he throws the dribble right here into space and goes and gets it, and then probably should have just shot the ball here at the rim. Doesn't want to test Lively, tries to wrap it down to Plumlee, and ends up turning the ball over. But despite the turnovers, good D on Clay right there, who's giga washed in my opinion. Despite the turnovers and despite him missing almost all of his 3-pointers, I thought Kon was incredibly impressive throughout these games. And while it doesn't start good in this one, we're going to see it. And there's plenty of interesting stuff. I'm excited to see Kon used more as like an off-ball shooter and more as a roller, screener in different ways. Beautiful way to get his first bucket of this game, by the way. Great deceleration right there. And I think Kon had a pretty underrated handle. I like his leverage here. He gets pretty low right there on the drive. Let me open my little tools where I can draw on the screen, but his ability to stop and pop for mid-range pull-ups, very underrated. Love him in this pistol action with LaMelo Ball rising into a pull-up, as we talk about in preseason. I'm focusing much less on the makes and misses than the quality of the shots, the confidence, the type of shots, and I love this action. Like, first we have a little handoff, fake handoff, LaMelo setting a screen, and then Kon pins the other way. Like, there's some really high potential for fun on offense with this Hornets team, assuming everyone stays healthy. Kon just kind of could not hit threes early in this preseason. But one thing I am encouraged by is the increase in 3-point volume that we saw. And just like some weird decisions early on in this game. The tape is going to get better, I promise you. The worst stuff, in my opinion, is in the first half of this Mavericks game. But Kon is an incredibly confident shooter who took a shitload of threes. Like I said, I'm very encouraged by his volume. He took around 10 threes per 100 at Duke and was an elite shooter. That's great, high volume. He was up to over 14 threes per 100. Obviously, it's a 3-game sample, but shooting volume tends to translate much more quickly, or stabilize, I should say, much more quickly than shooting accuracy. And it's good to see Kon just confidently taking threes, and we see what that allows for in terms of closeout attacking, right? Clay has to play him really hard. Kon gets by, pulls up for that little mid-range, and we're going to see him make those shots later on in the preseason. Another one, stepping off the screen against his buddy Cooper Flag. You can see how good his footwork is right here. Right foot here, left foot back into the pocket, fire from 3. The confidence really just looks like a shooter. He absolutely passes the shooting smell test. And I think Knueppel has like the mid-range shooting that you really want to project out to 3, and LaMelo loves that play, as he should. But look how confident and poised this teenage rookie is. Bumping Max Christie, balanced. He's always playing off of 2 feet, hits the fadeaway, and Kon is 6'6", 6'7" with shoes on. That is taller than the majority of 2 guards and a lot of wings in the league that I think he's going to be able to get shots off over, and he's going to be so good in the intermediate on these off-ball actions. Again, a nice little 21 pistol action, pin down into a little, at least a rub into a handoff right here. And Kon is just going to eat in the middle of those drop rub kind of defenses with his floater, with his mid-range pull-up game, because of course you have to go over Kon because he's a maniacal shooter. This was one of my favorite plays in the whole preseason from Kon. We barely saw this at Duke with Kon as a roller, because usually it was Kon as the ball handler, and then Kon, usually Cooper or Malawash rolling to the rim, but great pass by Dinwiddie. And Kon very clearly has the processing speed and the scoring ability to function on the short roll. I thought Kon was one of the most underrated players in the class for his playmaking. I thought he was one of the best passers in the class, point blank period, regardless of position. I think Kon showed that off really well. Love this foul draw right here. His patience as an off-catch attacker Again, look how high Jaden Hardy has to play Knueppel because he's a great shooter. Attacks off the catch, pump fakes. I believe he ends up drawing a foul there. Or, anyways, you can see that he's not an above the rim finisher, but his craft is really going to help him draw fouls, get to the line, add easy points, bucket right there off of movement for the and one. And this is preseason, right? Kon ends up making the movement contested three that he ends up getting fouled on, but he's missing all of his wide open shots. That's just preseason small sample nonsense for you. And I love Kon's movement without the ball. Even after he passes, he continues his cut to the rim. PJ Washington has fallen asleep for a second, and Kon ends up finishing at the bucket. He's going to get so many easy points in the NBA just off of like quick cuts backdoor and catching defenders sleeping and playing them off guard. Kon's going to lose the ball off his foot here, looks like. Just, not crazy worried about a turnover like this. Turnovers aren't something I care particularly much about, especially in these small samples in terms of preseason, summer league. Those don't tend to be particularly stable. Nice little bounce pass to Collin Sexton onto our second game of clips. He played 2 games against OKC and 1 game against Dallas. So we're just going to watch the clips from that. And yeah, it's going to take some time for Kon to get adjusted to the three-point line. Even elite shooters, like we saw Walter Clayton Jr., another elite shooter in this draft, miss a shitload of open threes in the preseason. Again, the line is farther back, defenders are much longer, but I love that Kon, he gets a little bit of space, he's going to hop off of 2 feet and fire quickly. He's not going to hesitate, he's not going to pass up these options. I think if you're an elite shooter like Kon Knueppel, an elite shooting prospect, you're losing some value if you aren't confidently firing off of the catch. And this is a great example of that, right? Early offense, because Kon is a quick trigger shooter, Kaysen has to play him out to the three-point line. And even though Kaysen is much quicker than Kon, any defender playing up kind of off balance like this because of his shooting, Kon can just out leverage and blow by with timing and with rhythm and with pacing. I think these are all ways that Kon is going to add value on offense that I don't think we saw as much at Duke necessarily. I am curious to see how Kon fares in these one-on-one late clock ISO situations because he isn't a crazy explosive space creator. And especially when teams like OKC send that strong side help at Kon, there is a weak side skip open, but that's a really tough pass. Kon ends up just going for a fadeaway, and he almost gets it to drop just off the front rim right there. I don't think Kon should have to do much isolation creation in Charlotte with LaMelo and Brandon Miller on his team, Trey Mann as well. I think he airballs this 3 maybe, or nope, that one goes in. He's going to airball some 3s at some point in this video, but good basic open 3, right? Again, like we're saying, not paying too much attention to the makes and misses, rather how those come. Beautiful lob passes. Kon was a ridiculous lob passer in college, and of course he had Cooper Flagg and Kamon Malawash to throw lobs to, but Kalkbrenner's not too shabby either. Great timing on that lob pass behind Jalen Williams, who was just kind of frozen and dropped right there. I think we're going to see a ton of success from Kon, and there's the air ball. A ton of success from Kon with Ryan Kalkbrenner in drop. The Hornets don't really have other real lob threats on this team, given that their other centers are Diabate and who's good but 6'7", and Mason Plumlee, who's not a lob threat. But again, we see Aaron Wiggins closing out hard. Kon hops off 2, finds the easy pass on the interior, and he's able to access these passing windows more than other players with similar vision because of his incredible footwork and craft and patience. And man, here's a Duke-Alabama rematch right there. Kon Knueppel hop off 2 feet and 1. And yes, Chris Youngblood is a rookie, but he is much older than Kon Knueppel. Look at him keep his handle against contact, hop off 2 feet. He doesn't really even fade away here. He's not fading back as much as he's just going straight up, rising over Youngblood, hitting the and one. Man, he is going to be such an impressive shot maker in the NBA. I do wish we got more of Kon, like, using his size and physicality in the post. He's gonna leak out for a little Spain pick and roll right here, which we're gonna see tons of. But yeah, like, you have a smaller defender in the paint. I'd love to see him just seal off a Chris Youngblood and try to go to work there. He's obviously gonna add more strength as he gets older, and that's probably gonna become a more viable option maybe later down in his career. But just things I'm noticing kind of watching this early preseason tape. Isolation with Kon against Malavi Leons, and man, even though he doesn't finish that play, I really love this drive where again we see the solid first step. Kon's able to get to get the defender to open up his hips and get a lane, and he throws the ball out again in front and tries to scoop it in with his right hand. Like, it's a tough finish, but it's a very makeable one, and Kalkbrenner tips it in. But my point being, right, I think Kon is a bit more underrated as a driver and a slashing creator than he got credit for. Of course, he's going to be an incredible shooter, off-ball mover, and the shots are going to fall. I have zero worries about Kon Knueppel as a shooter, no matter how many of these he's going to brick and airball in preseason. We have one more game of clips as we're going to settle down and work towards the end of this video. I think this might be an airball too. There's definitely some bad misses and air balls in this clip as well. But this was Kon's first preseason game. We've been going in reverse chronological order. Great offensive rebound. Even though Kon, not a crazy athlete, I do think he has a great sense for where offensive rebounds are going to fall and how to track the ball and get them to his teammates, even if he's not going to be like a crazy productive offensive rebounder. And there's a very long air ball again. His first game of his NBA career, not particularly worried. And here's some Kon Knueppel early offense usage I like. Quick pitch up to LaMelo, and then they run two-man handoff game. A bunch of potential, obviously, to just hand the ball to LaMelo, but because Kon has great shooting gravity, which we're going to see more even later in this game, Topic doesn't want to leave him. And then he helps on LaMelo. Kon does an excellent job filling behind the help instead of staying still. He gets a wide open three and just doesn't end up knocking it down. But you can see his ability to move off the ball and create shots on his own. That's going to be really good with LaMelo Ball, who is going to punish defenses who miss rotations and mess up and help. So I really do think this is going to be a perfect storm for Kon to have an incredible rookie season on offense, at least. Defensively is whatever. I think he's going to be solid as he gets better and as he ages, because he is big and tall and positions himself well. Just another out of structure, easy offensive rebound laid down right there. Even if early on in his career, Kon, I think, is going to get picked on defense in some ways, but I think he'll be fine enough eventually, and I think there are enough ways to use him offensively that he's going to make up for it. And we've seen it in so many ways. Obviously, majority spot-ups, and oh my goodness. Kon, not the fastest guy, but he is so good playing under control at his own pace, and he's so good at changing speeds. He's going downhill like a moderate speed right here. Look at this little up fake right here, moves the ball up, and J. Will is taking his signature charge here, but Kon is going to Euro step around him and scoop it in with his left hand. Man, he is so crafty, and we're fully seeing that on display. But I think the craft and the underrated athleticism and skill are definitely going to take Kon far on the offensive end. I really could see him being a legit all-star based on his offense at some point in his career. And as a rookie, like I said, I again expect him to be really productive. And another one of these just disgusting, fake, again, he loves this. It's like almost a Pinoy step, just like an exaggerated Euro step. He brings the ball over his head to get 13. Is that Jang and Jalen Williams jumping, and then he puts the ball in. So we're seeing the really impressive driving craft, especially in this OKC game. Another movement three that Kon's not going to hit, but look at the damn shooting gravity where two defenders zip up to Kon because he's a crazy shooter, and I think we're going to see so many instances where Kon just drops this ball off to Ryan Kalkbrenner or whoever is screening in the middle for an advantage situation. Obviously, Charlotte doesn't really have the advantage short roll creators outside of like Grant Williams can kind of do it, and Kon, of course, can do it. Oh my goodness, nasty spin move. He's so good at using leverage as a closeout attacker. He sees Topic changes his hips and he's going this way, so he can spin back off of Topic's right hips, knows he's going to get an advantage, and that's a great shot that I want Kon Knueppel taking all of the time, even if it's not necessarily always going to go in. So yeah, I think Kon is going to have a ridiculously productive and effective rookie season. Obviously, it's just preseason. We're not making crazy takes. Another screener rep for Kon. We saw him on the short roll, but I love him as the first screener on a little double drag because he can immediately ghost out to the corner, and then you kind of get a regular pick and roll, but there's two defenders in the action because of Kon's ghost. He gets wide open for three, and he ends up drilling the shot. So just because of off-ball movement, screening, the way that I think Charles Lee is going to use him in this offense, like we said, I've got a lot of faith in Kon Knueppel, and third time's the charm, right? For this little, Euro step, fake finish. This time he draws the foul. I think he got 2 layups on it earlier in this game. Love to see Kon busting out the craft early in this game. But as this winds down, likes, comments, subscribes. Again, another great 3 there from Kon. Likes, subscribes, and comments on the video all super helpful in telling the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying the content. And I'd really appreciate you letting me know what kind of content you want to see more of in the NBA season. These player breakdowns, breaking down team schemes, trends, all that good stuff. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of Kon Knueppel and what he's going to do as a rookie.